So this is an attempt at a mini autobiography for anyone that cares to listen, in particular my children. I'd like to leave some type of record that details more of my intimate life and thoughts and feelings um, without any harshness or biased opinions. But sometimes, it's hard. We get so caught up in life that we tend to only think about ourselves and our own thoughts and feelings and emotions, and we don't often consider that others have them as well, especially when it comes to a child-parent relationship. Oftentimes, the child only sees you as that role of mom or dad and doesn't factor in that you're a person with a name that had a life prior to their existence. But it's just some things that I need to get off my chest regardless. um, so I was generally like a popular kid in my school life. I had a group of girls that I hung out with on a regular basis, but generally could float about. I tried to relate to everybody on some level. I was that person that would defend my sister if she was being picked on, or defend a complete stranger for that matter if they were being bullied. I felt, I was significant enough on the pyramid that I could step in without having to take any flack for it, And I knew that. So I used that ability to my benefit and the benefit of the person being picked on, because it's just not cool. But I can tell you that just from observations, I always knew and felt different than the rest of the people around me. And it did impact how I treated myself, I guess. But, I miss those days. I loved being a teenager. It was a blast. I miss being carefree. I was a partier. I would bring everyone together on the weekends. I always loved to make people smile and laugh. And I was always the support system or the listener for everyone else. And rarely was there anybody that provided those same services to me throughout my entire life. But that's just the person I am. And I can't help that. But I did get certified to become a CNA in 2001, and most of my career has been in service to others and taking care of the elderly. I know there's a lot of angels looking out for me because I have loved a lot of my patients and always made sure to give them exceptional care and make them feel loved, unlike some of the other aides out there in the industry. I always worked third shifts overnight so that I could get the kids off to school in the morning without being tired and grouchy from just getting up. I would already have been up all night. And then I could sleep while they were at school and be able to spend their awake time with them versus having to be at work or them feeling like they were missing time with me. So we'd have the afternoons and dinner time together. It's like they wouldn't have to miss a beat. Of course, the schedule wasn't always ideal because of weekends and school vacations. I would either have to sacrifice sleep while caring for 4 children and still having to do my job, or work in a nap when I could, or ask my oldest to help out. Well, primarily when I became single in 2007, she helped out some mornings. Although anytime I asked my oldest for help of any kind, it was always a battle, whether it was to help her younger brothers clean her own room, do a household chore such as the dishes, etc. Working that schedule was ultimately decided for the kids' best interest, and by doing so, we were able to go to the park after school, go fishing while there was still light out, watch PBS afternoon shows together, go out to dinner, etc. I didn't need to worry about someone else taking care of my kids, and the kids didn't have to worry about missing any mama time. It did surprise me that my children wanted and expected to play and be with me all of the time, though, because personally, as a child myself, I was very imaginative and preferred to play alone. I'd spend hours in my room playing Barbies, hours roller skating with my neighbors next door. But yeah, I preferred to play alone or with my sisters, but certainly not with my older, less agile parents. But my children were always right at my side because at some point they just couldn't get enough of me, I guess. And as flattering as it was and appreciated, I felt smothered, as though I was losing myself. Not my mom me, but Brooke. Prior to even having kids, I was always passionate about singing and music. That had never changed. Unlike typical moms, in my free time, you could find me jamming out singing karaoke in front of the computer screen versus planning my ass on a couch watching daytime TV. If the kids were in bed, I was singing. If the kids were outside playing, I was singing. It was my escape. The only thing that was still just for me. It provided all and any therapy I needed at the time. And a little help from some pot, too. Before I split with my boys' dad in 2007, I hadn't smoked pot regularly since 2000 or 2001. And I didn't care much for TV other than watching Family Guy or watching movies or cartoons with the kids. Otherwise, I'd rather be fishing or singing. When I did split with the boys' dad in 2007, I'd made it my mission to find a father figure for my children that they deserve to have in their life. A good and healthy male role model that loved them and their mom and would finally complete the family I was struggling to maintain on my own. The girls' dad had completely abandoned them. The boys' dad was no prize and definitely had major anger and alcohol issues. I knew the kids desperately wanted that cookie-cutter dad as desperately as I wanted to find someone to show and display true and real love. Between 2007 and 2010, I dated several men, none of which turned out to be suitable in my opinion, which is the only opinion that matters in this case. All the while, my oldest child was displaying horrible, disruptive, and selfish behaviors. Nobody at the time, including the professionals, could understand why or where it was coming from. She was consistently making life a living hell for not only me, but for the three other siblings as well. The general consensus was that she was doing it on purpose and just didn't care about anybody else. Borderline sociopathic behavior. ODD. That's certainly how it felt, too. At some point, DHS had intervened because of an altercation involving my oldest stealing her grandfather's digital camera. The worker did her investigation, and I was asked to sign paperwork to finalize the case. She happened to mention that if I didn't sign it, China Act would be imposed, and Gabby could possibly be removed from the home. I took advantage of this opportunity and refused to sign it. My oldest went to an all-girls home outside of town. Just after that got settled, my mother, whom always was off her rocker and known to everyone as a controlling, judgmental bitch, finally fell completely off her rocker and was acting, speaking, and behaving completely insane and paranoid. We had to have her committed, ultimately, for her own safety. She had not fully recovered yet, when almost exactly a year later, I had an out-of-this-world experience. I remember I was dating this guy, Nick, but had already caught him trying to cheat. I knew I was going to have to face another breakup, another broken heart and disappointment. I knew the kids were attached to this one. I was also. I had even left a relationship to be with him. I really thought and had hoped that he was the one that would fit and round out our family nicely. He chose to violate my trust that I had no control over. I hadn't broken up with him yet, though. I spent some time reflecting on my life, my kids, my love life, knowing that so much time has passed, so many disappointments. What I wanted so badly for my kids and family was never going to happen. They would never have a good dad. I would never have a good husband. All of my dreams shattering in front of me on this one day in 2010. I didn't know what was wrong with my daughter. I didn't know what was wrong with my mother. The person I loved and thought had my back didn't have it at all in reality. Why? Why me? Then I racked my mind trying to figure out why I deserve this. What did I do in a past life? I know I'm a good and loving person. I know that when I love hard. I'm always trying to make people laugh, smile, etc. Then I realized I don't deserve this. If anything, I deserve the love of a God. Only someone like Jesus could possibly think, love, or feel like I do. I couldn't bring myself to sing. I was so uninspired for the first time in my young, passionate, and energetic life. I had officially lost the hopes and dreams I had always carried with me since childhood. My entire family and livelihood was in shambles. Love songs made me physically nauseous. I went on a binge of singing the saddest, most depressing songs I could find, crying the entire duration. I think I was also, in hindsight, I think my chakras were being activated during that time. Because then out of nowhere, I'm hanging out with my boyfriend in the basement, and I get this intense buzzing and vibrating sensation in my head, my brain. Then full-on telepathic communication starts. I relay everything to my boyfriend as it's being told to me. I'm feeling super energetic, like I'm on speed or something. So much info was coming in so fast. Things and subject matter I'm not even familiar with or was interested in before. Pertaining to God, angels, physics, religion, government, spirituality, science, geometry, creation, ascension, DNA, evolution, chosen ones, politics, astronomy, universal law, reincarnation, past lives, Queen of Heaven, royal bloodlines, the Holy Grail, etc., etc., etc. I had to endure a series of tests and ceremonial rituals, including the will to sacrifice my life in order to save humanity and usher in heaven, the golden age, which I was more than willing to do. From my heart. The voice communicating with me guided me and explained things as they were happening. I had no prior knowledge of esoteric stuff or mystery school information or Freemasonry, anything like that. I only had loose knowledge of the Bible, faith, and knowing that this voice knew me inside and out, all the details of my life, my innermost thoughts and feelings, all of it. It was made clear to me that this is my purpose, and I was born to do this. They were in contact until I proved my immortality upon their request in 2011. It's only been since then that I have researched my ass off, which I feel was also guided, and have found all kinds of materials explaining exactly what I experienced and continue to experience. Some ancient texts even explaining in detail, as though it's a prophecy for my life, what I went through. The most applicable being all of the mystery school doctrines, inclusive of explaining and receiving the gift of physical immortality. No death will be experienced upon becoming a graduate of the mysteries. But I've somehow done this all naturally, without having studied. And I don't know how, unless this is all true and real. And this is my birthright. This is my purpose. I am of a royal bloodline. I am this goddess everybody is expecting the return of. I am the Queen of Heaven. I have reached out anybody that has videos out there on this stuff, on the mystery schools or about Sophia. Anybody that seems to know more than the average bear, I have reached out to and begged and pleaded to listen to my videos, listen to my channel. I need help. I think my situation is different than most. I see these people talking about these texts talking about the mysteries, beating around the bush on the whole immortality thing. People are just talking, and here I'm sitting with all these answers. And nobody cares. Nobody wants to believe me. They only want to believe some of the information and not all of it, or like, I don't know. Spirit wants me to put all of this out there. Spirit wants me to help guide others and teach and explain and share all this information and knowledge that has been bestowed upon me. And I've been trying to do that. I've been trying so hard, and nobody wants to take me seriously. And that makes me wonder, am I going to have to wait till I'm fucking 120 before somebody is willing to interview me or take into consideration anything that I'm saying? Is that how long we have to wait? Like, I don't want to wait that long. I don't know about you guys. But basically, what Spirit has conveyed to me is that all of these obstacles have been presented before me in order for me to wake up to this revelation that I don't deserve this shit. I didn't ask for it. I don't want it. It's not me. It's not me. It feels like nobody even knows me. Nobody knows who I really am because everybody is too busy caring about themselves all the time. And I'm caring about them. So who is there? God's all I got. And God's there for me. I have no doubt about that. God has made that known. But yeah, my family has never been emotionally supportive of or for me. Everyone else is always too busy playing a victim or judging others based on finances and appearances alone. It's always superficial and artificial conversations and shit talking. My mom had always tried to drive a wedge between my oldest daughter and I, undermining my parenting or authority in front of her, or offering a safe haven at her house whenever my oldest would get in trouble or break the rules at home. My parents have always tried to create an option as to where my children could reside, creating the illusion for them that I was somehow not good enough or allowing for an even more competitive nature between me and my own parents. Primarily my mother. When I wanted to leave my abusive ex, my mom tried to persuade me to stay, because it'd be easier. I have 4 kids, She'd also come to the girls' dad's defense on more than one occasion, when as my mom, she shouldn't have. She's been more supportive of my oldest daughter's defiance than she has of her own daughter and her 3 other grandchildren. I'm still judged and mocked over my awakening experience. Nobody believes that I went through that. Nobody gives any credit to the fact that it was out of the kindness of my heart, or that in my heart of hearts or my mind, I was under the belief that I was giving up my life for my children and their children and their children and their children. Like, I've never been a jailbird, a prostitute, a severe drug addict, an utter and complete mooch, a monster, a liar, so I don't understand why I'm treated as such. I've suffered more disappointment than most. And I still try to keep a smile on my face and be nice to other people. I left an abusive and miserable relationship for the sake of my children. I have worked my ass off to provide income and homes on my own, by myself. I won't settle for less than what I and the kids deserve. I did and do get my kids counseling when help is needed. I do care less of what others think of me and care more about what I think of myself. I have always risen from the unnecessary drama that my ex, my oldest daughter, or my mother have created for me. My sanity, and emotional well-being are still intact despite all of your efforts to tarnish me or my name. I'm never allowed to be me or shine from within around all of you because you are too needy all of the time. Vampires that suck the life and joy out of others around you. I'm not willing to play along, not anymore. Keep your negativity and judgments to yourself. I can't control the actions or behaviors of others, but I can control my own. I always have and I always will. I don't rely on outside opinions to validate me or the person that I am, because I am always honest. I'm always conscious of the choices I'm making. Therefore, I have no regrets. And I warn people to exhaustion when they are hurting me or doing me wrong. I will warn them and warn them and warn them until I am finally done. I'm tired. I have lived many lives, despite what you want to believe. I did sacrifice. I had faith enough to sacrifice my life to save humanity. I did that. Whether you want to believe it or not, I did do it. But it sucks. It really, really, really sucks that this is the way everything has turned out. These were all dynamics that were created outside of my preference, outside of my expectation. I didn't make the deck of cards. I can only play the cards that I'm dealt. And I try really, really hard to do the best that I can with what I am dealt. Everyone only sees everything from their own perspective. It takes a special soul to see situations from all perspectives. And that's what I always try to do. Since I was young, I've been conscious in every moment. Every decision has been calculated, thought about. I have had some impulsive moments. I'm not perfect, but most of my decisions are calculated. I consult my heart. I go within. I try to see things from all angles before proceeding. But unfortunately, I don't think everybody has that ability. And unless you care enough to ask someone about the inner workings of their mind, their thoughts, their feelings, you're never going to fully understand why, the method to someone's madness, or why they do what they do, or say what they say. And unfortunately, there's not that many people that care enough to do that either. So there's probably, I'm sure I'm not the only one when I say it is a very isolating and lonely scenario to actually be a good-hearted person in this world, because there's so much ugliness and so many assumptions and so much paranoia and so much delusion and disinformation. But I can attest to the fact that these ancient texts are for real. This mystery school stuff is for real. Because it is the only explanation I can find that syncs up and matches identically to what I have personally experienced. And unbeknownst to me, like I said, I was uneducated before I had that experience. So it was definitely a natural process for me, based either on my bloodline or how I have consciously lived and practiced my life since childhood. I never strayed from my internal compass. I never strayed from going within my heart of hearts. I've never strayed from being thoughtful of others. And that's what makes me pure, and that's what made me an initiate, and that's what makes me a graduate. So it's not just as simple as researching Kundalini and like meditating. It's definitely a lot more personal and deeper than that. It's like a natural life process, and it's not something you can start tomorrow and hope to achieve before you die. Like, I can't explain it. And even the mystery school texts say that it's so unexplainable that when confronted with the real initiate, it's hard for them to even convey what the experience is like or how to achieve it. I think I'm getting pretty close to putting it all into words or making it make sense. But of course, that's all mute if nobody cares to listen to it or believe it. There's really not much point in me putting all this effort into making these videos or trying to get this information out there if nobody is open to receiving it or believing in me. Believe in me. I believe in you. I put my life on the line because I believe in you so much. I believe we've all been duped. I believe we're born into this world with the odds stacked against us as far as achieving this graduation or obtaining this sacred knowledge and information about the mystery schools and how to break the cycle of reincarnation. Because it does involve death, and it's not just a spiritual death or a metaphoric dying to this world, but it's not suicide either. It's all about intent. It's all about magic. It's all about trust and faith and personal experience. And it's all I have to hold on to these days. But like I said, I will always be honest with you guys. I will always be honest about what I experience and my interpretations of such. And my kids are no different. So it was important to me that they're able to obtain or hear this. Because like I said, we're all individuals. Someone else has failed all of us in our lives. Someone else has always not quite met our expectation. Somebody's always going to be a disappointment or not see your value. But don't let that change who you are or how you view the world or treat others. Don't let it keep you stuck in that victim role. When you insist on always playing the victim, you're always going to be a victim. And I choose to be the victor. Join me, will you?